Oh, man.
Welcome to the Know. I'm Ashley.
I'm Brian.
Hey, you guys. It's official. Work on the next Legend of Zelda game is underway.
Yes.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
While Breath of the Wild is racking up Game of the Year honors for 2017, and very well deserved, we've now got word the developers at Nintendo are already hard at work on the next installment of the legendary franchise.
Which, that shouldn't be too big of a surprise,
Well,
right?
I thought this was the last one. They were never going to do them again.
They're always working on something like Zelda or Mario, even Metroid now. But what could the game possibly look like, the new Zelda? Well, the producers have given some new comments indicating a couple things that we should expect from the next Zelda. We're going to try to piece together all the details for you.
Let's see if we can predict the entire game just right now.
Oh.
Okay, so first off, the news itself comes from the video game translation site All Source Gaming, who quoted Breath of the Wild producer Eiji Aonuma saying that production has officially begun on the next entry in the series.
Which, yeah, not too big of a surprise, given that the dev team, they just released probably the final DLC for Breath of the Wild, the Champion's Ballad.
Yeah, the final thing that's announced at any rate, and of course they'd be working on, right? Yeah. So the big question now is, how long do we have to wait before the sequel arrives? It did take Nintendo 6 years to get Breath of the Wild out after the release of Skyward Sword, so that's a pretty big gap. To be fair, they did have to build a new engine that time, which was a considerable task. And we had some handheld titles in there as well. I mean, come on, Link Between Worlds was the shit. But
that was fun.
There was a gap for console releases.
Ooh, an overhead game this time, like Link Between Worlds.
Turns out it's just a top-down.
Yeah, that'd be great. But it's not quite likely that they would ditch the Breath of the Wild engine for the next game, which hopefully means we're gonna get a shorter lead time for this follow-up. Although, that didn't help Twilight Princess or Skyward Sword come out too quickly, because both were using a heavily modified version of the Wind Waker engine. It still took 4 years between Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, and another 5 for Skyward Sword, so...
Okay, but we don't know how long it would have taken for Skyward Sword. Anyway, we're presuming they're gonna use the same engine they did for Breath of the Wild, and we do have a few quotes to support that from the team over the past few months since the game, since Breath of the Wild launched.
Yeah, according to some recent interviews from Aonuma, it looks like they aren't gonna waste all the work they did on that shiny new engine on just one game, even if it is Breath
Why would you?
Yeah, it would, that's just a lot of work for... Not nothing.
Well, also, you now build these engines with the idea of using them for multiple games. That's how you sort of justify the amount of work that has to go into all of that.
Although Nintendo seems masochistic enough to where they would be like, new engine every game.
That's true, but we do know they're not doing that this time, or we're pretty sure.
In an interview with Eurogamer, Aonuma said, the way the physics engine underpins everything in the world really offers up a whole lot of new possibilities. For instance, in Breath of the Wild, you might have a puzzle or making use of the physics, there'd be various ways you can solve that puzzle. That really opens up a lot of possibilities, so there's not just one way to progress in the game or just one way to solve a puzzle.
One of my favorite things, just tiny little details, was if you had one of the flaming swords on your back, you wouldn't get cold, which makes a lot of sense.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get first-degree burns.
Right, well, but then you put the ice on them and it all balances out. But they're just like all these really cool little touches. You'd be like, I wonder if this works, and then they do.
And it does kind of, or you just freeze to death.
Or that. Meanwhile, as far as what kind of game it's gonna be, pretty good bet we'll be looking at another open world game similar to Breath of the Wild. In an interview with Famitsu, Aonuma said, I think that in the future, open air games will be the standard for Zelda. I mean, a lot of the Zelda games are open-ish.
Yeah.
But I think more so just the sheer level of any direction, do whatever you like that Breath of the Wild had. Climb anything.
Maybe open air just means Link can fart whenever he wants. Like it's open air. Is that funny? No, okay. The creators have also given some other new quotes about some other ideas they have for the game, which interestingly enough, came to them while they were developing the DLC for Breath of the Wild. Is that interesting? It's interesting. And according to the director Hidemaru Fujibayashi, they've got tons of ideas about where it can go next.
Fujibayashi said in an interview with IGN, I can't say at this point if it will be in sequels or in continuations or what form it will take, but I definitely have lots of ideas and lots of motivation right now.
And he added, I think while we were working on both the main game and the DLC, it was a process of constantly getting lots of different new ideas as we refined the game and finding new things we wanted to do. Even in situations like this, talking to people and finding out that people want to pet dogs gives me a lot of motivation, a lot of ideas for things that we could put in the game.
So there you go, confirmed dog petting in the next Zelda game. We are going to have it. I'm pretty sure it's why it didn't get straight 10s across the board.
I would do that, yeah.
Dogs in game can't pet dogs. What are you even doing?
Make that a whole dungeon.
Make it in VR.
Oh, Eddy.
Aonuma also added some other thoughts as well, mostly about what's possible to do in the next game thanks to continual online updates.
He said to IGN, what we learned from the DLC this time around is that it's almost like raising the world or enhancing the world. In the past, we always had to start from zero again to completion.
Hey.
Usually we'd be thinking, oh, I wish we could add this, so we could do that. What we couldn't do in that game, we would start fresh in a new game. But because we did a DLC, we realized it's just a great way to kind of improve that world, kind of enhance it, and kind of to raise it like your own child.
So it sounds like they're realizing that updating your game after releases is a way to get bigger changes out of your world even faster. Welcome to modern gaming, Nintendo. It's gonna be all loot boxes in the next Zelda.
Yeah, that's just how video games are designed, I thought.
Yeah, but Nintendo has been one of the few developers that's mostly stayed out of that. I was shocked we got that branded DLC for Mario Kart 8. Was it Mercedes?
It's just like raising a kid, you know, just put an extra arm on them if you want.
Yeah, just add stuff later.
Yeah, just an extra leg. That might indicate, though, that they're looking at starting with a smaller experience with the next game and then grow that over time. And a lot of that sounds very similar to statements made by Hajime Tabata regarding Final Fantasy 15.
That's
and
true.
In fact, yeah, most of Square Enix's next round of games is going to make use of that idea of building bigger worlds after the single-player game's launch.
I think as far as that sort of living world goes, Final Fantasy 15, regardless of whether you enjoyed the game or not, a lot of people did, had a really interesting strategy with its updates where a lot of people are doing microtransactions and loot boxes. Tabata came out and was like, here's the Chocobo Festival, here's this mini story from this character, and they've released so many of these that if you're a Final Fantasy fan, you didn't trade the game in, you probably got all those additional things. Mika is constantly in tears from new stuff they're putting out.
It feels like they've released like at least one more game if you add up all the DLC for like 15. I mean, it's like a lot of additional content.
It is, and it feels like the first game still, Final Fantasy 15, the base game still felt like a full game, but then they've gone and added on even more.
But naturally, we're fans. We got a huge wish list of the types of things we want to see in the next Zelda game.
Petting dogs.
Yeah, absolutely. One other way the team at Nintendo could achieve a shorter life cycle on the next title is if they took the Majora's Mask approach.
Okay.
Same mechanics, same engine, and then turn that shit on its head. Like they make it darker, put a mask in.
Have a lot of fun with it.
Yeah.
You get to reuse a lot of work you've already done too. That theory has been pretty popular, not just with us, but also just online. It would probably lead to some polarization. I mean, Majora's Mask definitely has a very rabid fan base, and some people say it's their favorite of the series. Other people don't like it at all. So it may not reach quite the heights of popularity of Breath of the Wild, but it would be a bridge between doing an entirely new game and using what they got.
And it was still like a cool follow-up. Like it was almost the flip side of Ocarina of Time.
I agree. I think it's aged really well too.
Me too, yeah. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I say that to sound cool. Of course, another potential wish list item for some fans would no doubt be building out more of the series lore into something that makes a bit more sense. Just flesh it out a little bit.
I mean, Breath of the Wild did tease a bit more story than it showed us, with the most meaningful character interactions often occurring behind these memory fragments that you had to work to uncover. A lot of people maybe never even found them, instead of just dropping naturally throughout the game. So maybe the upcoming game fleshes out the Zelda canon a little bit more, or shares more of the story about what's happening in this world, and how that all fits together, possibly.
Yeah, it feels like there was a lot there. Like all those kingdoms, it felt like could have been fleshed out, like more backstory.
Yeah, they were all great.
Yeah.
If anything, we just want to see more of them.
Absolutely. We'll have to wait and see what happens, but for Zelda fans, this is definitely encouraging news that the dev team, they aren't resting on their laurels after releasing a game that's pretty much already considered a classic.
Instant classic.
Get out there and do it again.
Yeah, no pressure.
Yeah.
What would you guys like to see in the next Zelda game? Let us know in the comments.
And for all your Zelda news, be sure to like this video, and if you're new around here, subscribe to the Know.
Really quick shameless plug, only a few days left for gift shopping, so if you're panicking for ideas, you should probably check out our gift guide at giftguide.roosterteeth.com.
We got ideas for apparel, Blu-rays, housewares, games, art, books, music. That's all the
There's a
categories.
ton of stuff. There's a Star Trek Enterprise sushi set with chopsticks and a soy sauce dish. It's so cute.
Or a badass alien stein. Drink your booze in style.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Or, you know what, just check it out. There are literally hundreds of awesome ideas.